My name is Mariam Hassan. I am 24 years old. I was born into a Muslim family from Gaza. My father was a strict and respected man in our neighborhood. He worked with a local committee that handled community matters. My mother was quiet and obedient. She spent most of her time caring for our home and teaching me how to behave like a good daughter. I have two younger brothers. They both attended the local Islamic school. I also went to school there when I was young. I learned to read and write Arabic very well. I memorized many portions of the Quran. My teachers often praised me for being serious and disciplined. Later, I studied basic accounting at a small college program for women. Education was important in my family, but obedience was more important. My life was simple on the outside. I woke up early, I prayed. I helped my mother clean and cook. I covered my hair before stepping outside. I avoided speaking loudly in public. I kept my eyes down when older men passed by. I followed rules. I asked few questions. But inside my heart, something was changing. During a difficult season of war and loss, I felt empty. I began asking quiet questions about suffering, forgiveness, and love. A neighbor who had once lived abroad noticed my sadness. She showed me kindness. She later told me about Jesus in a gentle way. She did not argue with me. She only shared stories of mercy and sacrifice. Over time, she gave me a small Bible. It was old and worn. She told me to hide it carefully. I kept it inside a cloth bag under my mattress. I read it at night when everyone was asleep. I felt peace when I read it. That peace became my secret. But secrets do not stay hidden forever. One afternoon, while I was at the market with my mother, my younger brother entered my room looking for money. He found the cloth bag. He opened it. He saw the Bible. When I returned home, the air felt different. My father was sitting in the center of the room. The Bible was on the floor in front of him. My brother told him where he found it. My father looked at me in a way I had never seen before. Not anger at first. It was something deeper. It was disappointment mixed with shame. He asked me questions about where I got it. I tried to explain slowly. I told him I had been reading it for months. I told him it brought me peace. I told him I meant no harm to anyone. He did not shout immediately. He stood up and left the room. That evening, several men from the community came to our house. They were religious leaders and local authorities. One of them told my father that keeping such a book was forbidden. Another one revealed that changing faith was considered betrayal under their interpretation of the law. I was told that I had dishonored my family. The news spread quickly. Neighbors stopped greeting us. Women who used to sit with my mother no longer visited. Children were told not to speak to my brothers. My mother cried silently at night. She told me I had brought danger to our home. She showed me her trembling hands as proof of her fear. The men returned the next day. They said I must publicly deny what I believed. They told my father that if I refused, the matter would be taken to religious authorities outside our area. They explained the seriousness of apostasy under strict religious law. They described punishments in cold, formal language. I felt my body shaking, but my heart was strangely calm. I knew what they wanted. They wanted me to say I was wrong. They wanted me to reject what I had come to believe. My father avoided looking at me. My mother begged me with her eyes. She told me quietly that survival was more important than belief. She reminded me that I was still young and could fix this mistake. But to me, it was not a mistake. It was my faith. That night, I was not allowed to sleep in my room. My father locked the door from the outside. He told my brothers to watch me. One of them revealed that some men in the neighborhood were already calling me names. They said I was a disgrace. They said I deserved punishment. The following morning, 2 vehicles arrived. I was told I would be taken to answer for my actions. As I stepped outside, I noticed people watching from their windows. No one spoke. The silence felt heavier than shouting. That was the beginning of my persecution. Not because I stole, not because I harmed anyone, but because I chose what I believed in my heart. And this was only the beginning. The vehicles stopped outside a small building far from the busy streets. The sun was high and hot. The sand around the place looked dry and empty, like nothing good could grow there. 2 men held my arms as I stepped down. They were not gentle. One of them revealed to me that this was a religious hearing. He explained that my case was serious. Another man showed me papers with my name written on them. Seeing my name on those pages made my heart beat fast. Inside the room, there were several older men seated behind a long table. My father was standing to one side. He did not look at me. My mother was not there. One of the leaders told me that I had chosen the wrong path. He explained that changing faith was seen as betrayal. He described it as turning my back on my family, my community, and my upbringing. He reminded me of the years I spent memorizing holy verses as a child. I stood alone in the center of the room. My hands were shaking. My throat felt dry. I could hear my own breathing. They asked me questions about the Bible. They asked me who gave it to me. I told them I had been reading it in secret. I explained that I found peace in it. I did not argue. I did not shout. I only spoke softly. One of the men hit the table with his hand. He told me I was being stubborn. Another revealed that my decision could bring shame and danger to my entire family. They described possible punishments in a cold, official way. They spoke about isolation, public disgrace, and harsh consequences meant to correct people like me. My father finally spoke. He told them he had raised me with discipline. He said he did not understand how I changed. He showed his frustration by shaking his head slowly. His voice sounded tired and broken. After hours of questioning, they ordered me to be taken to a small holding room. It had no window. The air was heavy and smelled of dust. I sat on the floor. My back rested against a rough wall. Time moved slowly. Later that evening, a guard came inside. He revealed that I would be given one more chance to deny my new faith publicly. He explained that if I agreed, I could return home, though my reputation would still be damaged. He also made it clear that if I refused, my situation would become much worse. I thought about my mother's tears. I thought about my brothers being mocked at school. I imagined my father walking through the market with people whispering behind him. The pressure was heavy. But inside me, something stronger held me firm. The next morning, I was brought back before the leaders. The room felt even smaller than before. I noticed more men standing at the back. News had spread. They asked for my final decision. My voice was not loud, but it was steady. I told them I could not deny what I believed in my heart. The room became very quiet. One of the leaders closed his eyes for a moment. Another man wrote something on a document. A guard stepped closer to me. Then I heard the decision. I was to be made an example. My knees felt weak. My body felt cold, even though the desert sun was burning outside. That was the moment I understood that persecution is not just words. It is isolation. It is humiliation. It is being treated like you are less than human because of what you believe. And the worst was still coming. The men blindfolded me before taking me outside. The desert air hit me hard. The sand was hot under my bare feet. I could hear the wind whispering through the empty dunes. I could also hear the faint voices of people in the distance, shouting commands, though I could not see them clearly. They led me to a shallow pit. My heart pounded so loudly I thought it would burst. One of the men revealed that I was being buried alive as punishment. Another showed me the tools they would use to seal the pit. My stomach turned. The weight of what was about to happen pressed down on me harder than the sand itself. I was forced to kneel inside the pit. My hands were tied behind my back. They dumped dirt around me slowly, layer by layer. Each handful felt like the world itself was being lifted off me and then crushed back down. I tried to breathe slowly, but the dust made my throat burn. I thought about my mother's tears, my father's silent disappointment, and my brother's frightened faces. Time lost meaning. The sky above me shrank as the walls of dirt grew taller. My body screamed. My heart thudded in terror. I felt trapped between life and the grave. Then, in the darkness, I felt something strange, a quiet calm, almost like a hand brushing gently over my fear. My chest felt lighter. My mind, which had been drowning in panic, began to focus on one thing: hope. I did not see it, but I knew it was there. Something beyond the men, beyond the sand, beyond the desert. I could not explain it, but I felt myself being lifted, almost as if I were floating. The dirt that had pressed so heavily on me now seemed to fall away. Moments later, I felt hands, warm, real hands, pulling me out. I was coughing, covered in dirt, shaking from head to toe. The men around me stared in disbelief. Some ran, others froze. I did not understand it fully then. I only knew one thing: I was alive. Somehow, impossibly, I had survived. That night, lying under the stars, I whispered a prayer I had never said before. I told myself that my life was no longer my own, that even though the world had tried to destroy me, something stronger had chosen to protect me. I had been buried, but I was not broken. And I knew, deep down, that my story was only beginning. After that night in the desert, I lay in a small clearing, coughing, trembling, and covered in dirt. The sky above was dark, but the stars seemed to shine brighter than ever. I could feel the cold creeping into my bones, yet something inside me refused to give in to fear. I remember a stranger approaching. He did not shout. He moved quietly. He showed me water in a small container. He revealed a blanket and helped me wrap myself. His eyes were gentle, and he told me that I was safe for now. I did not understand why anyone would risk helping me, but I felt a warmth in my chest I had not felt since my childhood. He led me to a hidden place, a small shelter carved into the edge of the desert. He told me I could rest there. He revealed to me that people had been praying quietly, asking for my life to be spared. I realized then that even though I had been abandoned by many, I was never truly alone. The days that followed were difficult. I could not return home. I could not see my family openly. I had to hide my face and my movements. But I was alive, and that became my first victory. During that time, I reflected on the persecution I had endured. I remembered the shame in my father's eyes. I remembered the whispers in the streets. I remembered the fear and humiliation that had surrounded me like a thick blanket. And I realized that my faith had cost me everything I once knew, yet it had given me something far greater: hope that could not be buried. I also realized the power of prayer. People I had never met, strangers who only heard of my situation, had lifted their voices to God. Their prayers, hidden yet strong, had reached me in the darkest moment. That made me believe in mercy I could not explain. Eventually, I moved quietly from place to place. I learned to survive on the desert's edges, relying on the kindness of strangers. He who helped me taught me how to be careful, how to stay hidden, and how to keep my faith alive in my heart, even when the world tried to destroy it. Through this, I discovered a deeper strength. I realized that persecution could not take my spirit, shame could not silence my soul, threats could not erase the truth I carried inside me. I was determined not just to survive, but to bear witness. To all who are watching or reading this, wherever you are, I ask you to pray for those persecuted for their faith. Pray for those who suffer because they follow what is right in their hearts. And if you feel lost or burdened by your own mistakes, you can pray quietly now, asking God to forgive you and lead you to peace. I prayed simply, asking God to forgive my sins, to protect me, and to guide my steps. That prayer, whispered in fear and hope, became my anchor. Remember, faith is not always easy. Choosing it can bring suffering, but it can also bring a courage and peace that no one can take away. Even when the world tries to bury you, God can lift you, and your story can still be written in light.